There we go. Okay. My mic was muted there for a second. Hey everyone, my name is Nicole. Welcome to my weekly presentation here on the internets. I had a medical appointment last Tuesday, so I missed that one. But my goal, as I get used to this, is to be here 9:15 every Tuesday, talking about some technological topic. So I'm just going to put on the screen in case that you want to know. If you have a topic, if you have a question, if you have something you want to learn more about, feel free to send me an email. Now, I kind of suck at email sometimes. I don't mean to suck at email, but I do. So just email me, like I said, if you have a question. So today, basically, we're going off a little series here, which I'm calling If I Was a Marketing D-Bag. And basically, something that I see when someone is being a marketing D-Bag is a lot of stuff about SEO. And even just the term SEO makes my skin crawl. So SEO is search engine optimization. And what I've seen clients do, and I've heard of clients doing, is that they're like, oh yeah, I'm paying some people in India like $200 a month to do SEO for me without any clear idea what they're paying them to do. So yeah, somebody's doing SEO for you. So like, what are they doing? Now, if they're weird about what they're doing, it could mean one of two things. One, they don't really know what they're doing and they're just kind of making stuff up. Or two, they're doing stuff that they shouldn't be doing to increase your search engine rank. So what I want to talk about is a few practices that real marketing D-bags, because if I were a marketing D-bag, I would be doing these things, but I'm not, so I don't. I am just aware of them. So what I'm going to tell you about is some practices that you should be aware of if you're hiring an SEO company, so that you can keep in mind kind of like some things to look out for. These are not good things to do. If they help you in the short term, that doesn't mean they're going to help you in the long term. So I just want to kind of say that first and foremost. So let me just get my screen ready here. So by the way, if you want to learn more about search engine stuff, oh, why is it not sharing that screen? One second. I love how it was, there we go. Share screen one, there we go. Okay, I don't know why it wasn't sharing the screen before. Let me just actually make it super big. So if you want to know about search engine stuff, Moz.com is a really good source. Now, what's cool that they do is they have people who are testing stuff in terms of like what, okay, if I do this, what effect does it have on search engine? So there are two words that we use when we talk about search engine optimization. One, and these are non-douchey terms. One is called on-page SEO. And so that's what you can do on your actual website. So there's certain things that you have control over because they're on your website. So these are on-page ranking factors in SEO. So it kind of tells you, and let me just zoom in here because that's a little small. The kinds of things, oops, zooming in on the wrong page. Well, there we go. Two screen problems here. All right. So these are telling you elements that you can do to improve your search engine factor. So for example, one of the things on here, and I can't highlight it because it's a giant image, is this thing right here is, let me zoom in a little more here. Uniquely valuable, and and then you have a good user experience. That's what UX means. So it says here that page renders fast, less than 0.5 seconds for first response, less than 4 seconds to primary content loaded. Okay, so your page loading in less than 4 seconds means that your search engine on page is going to improve. So there's all these factors that you can do on your website to make things better in terms of your search engine stuff. Now, the thing is, and I'm just going to go back to just me for a second, is there's kind of two parts of SEO, right? One is what's on your actual website, and the other is what we called off page, right? So stuff that's going on other pages, mainly things like stuff that's, from, links coming into your site, stuff that people are posting on social media, stuff like that. And so obviously the stuff that is off your website, you have some control over, but you don't have entire control over. So if you want a bit more of a holistic view of search engines, you can think about your on-page SEO, but you can also just think about overall ranking factors. So I'll share my screen again. Okay, whoops, I pulled up 2015. So these are, basically the same site and search engine ranking factors. And they will correlate data, and I've super zoomed this in. So it's going to take a bit to load. And what it does is it gives a sort of idea of the level of importance of different things, both on page and off page. So, people, for example, like kinds of links you're getting, kinds of keywords, that kind of thing. If you really want to, like I said, geek out, you can basically go search engine ranking factors. I thought I pulled up 2019. Apparently I pulled up 2015. It's a similar idea, which is that some stuff like the quality of links coming into your site come into play. So for example, let's say that my website linked to your website. I believe that, my website gets good traffic. I mean, not fantastic traffic, but it gets pretty good traffic for a small business website. And let's say like the New York Times linked to your website. Now, obviously the New York Times linking to your website is a way bigger deal, not just because, obviously people are reading the New York Times and clicking through the link, but because that website is larger, it has a long-term reputation, and it has kind of a better overall sort of quality than mine does. I mean, no offense to my website or anything, but it's just true. So, things like quality of links, right, matter. So that's where that kind of stuff can come in. Now, there's a few things that I've seen people say that I think make them, let's say it with me again, marketing D-bags. So these things I think make people marketing D-bags. Okay, these are the kinds of things that if you were a jerk and wanted to do SEO, these are the kinds of things you would do. So I'm basically telling you kind of how to be a jerk, but you're not going to be a jerk because you're not that kind of person. So the first thing that people do is something called content spinning. So basically, Google doesn't like seeing duplicated content. So let's say that I wrote an article about hammocks, and if I took that same article and posted it somewhere else and it had the exact same text, Google doesn't like that. It sees it as duplicate content and it's going to penalize me for it. So what we want to do instead is, if we were a jerk, is we want to spin our content. That basically takes the words that we're writing and it rearranges them. It substitutes in certain words and it makes it so it doesn't look like the exact same content, even though it is. And so this is a really spammy thing to do. And it's something that if you were a DBag SEO person that you would do for your clients. You would pay an author to write one article, and then you would spin it and post it 10 different places, obviously with links in it built back into the website you were trying to optimize. Don't do this. Like, if Google catches you, they're not going to like it. So do not spin your content. Write unique content that is uniquely valuable, because if you remember from our Moz people, they want uniquely valuable content. So do not use content spinning websites. Like I said, it's one of those things where like you might be able to get away from it for a while, but like you're not going to get ahead in the long term. So content spinning is one DBag thing that you can do. Another DBag thing you can do is something called keyword stuffing. And the best thing is I just looked up keyword stuffing example. So like, which vacuum cleaner is best for me? Which is the best vacuum cleaner for you? With so many choices, the best model can provide a difficult answer. The most used vacuum cleaners. So like, it sounds like basically a robot wrote the website. So this is called keyword stuffing. And so what people do is they try to put as many words on the page as they can, essentially stuffing the keywords into their content. So it makes it sound like a robot wrote it. Now, maybe a robot did write this, but point being is that the search engine is smart enough to know when you're doing this, and it doesn't like it. Also, the people reading your site are going to think that you're insane and like that you just use words all the time. You know, when you use the same words all the time and using the same words all the time, it's really annoying to like read, and nobody wants to read that kind of content. So keyword stuffing is another thing to do. There's plenty that you can do. You want to sprinkle the keywords into your content like salt. I just did a little sprinkle motion, but I realized that you can't see that now because I'm sharing my screen. Whoops. And a final kind of DBag thing to do is using something called a link farm. So because this is not an inherently interesting thing, I will add myself back in. So a link farm, ooh, fancy, is basically where it's almost like, I don't know, a phone tree or something where like you're paying for links and to go on all these different websites, and they're usually spammy websites. And so this happened to actually one of my colleagues who had a blog. She didn't use a link farm, but there was a misunderstanding, and Google thought that she was buying links. So it basically banned her. So when you searched for terms where her blog would normally come up in Google, it stopped coming up. So the only traffic she was getting was direct traffic. So people directly linking to her. So imagine, in most websites, if you look at them, get between 50 and 80% of their traffic from search engines, at least the ones that I've seen the stats on. So imagine if Google suddenly turns off 50% of your traffic. And if you're a blog that's making money off things like advertising, that really hits your bottom line pretty hard. And it took her a while to dispute that this was happening. It wasn't actually, she wasn't doing it, but Google thought she was doing it. And it took, I think, like 6 to 8 months for it to like stop happening. So Google really doesn't like, or search engines really don't like when you're buying links. They want, if someone likes your content, to link to you, not, you're not getting the links because you're buying them. You're getting the links because you're, genuinely know what you're talking about. People like what you're saying, that sort of thing. So these practices are really obviously frowned upon because they basically take, search engines are trying to give us the best possible results for what we're looking for. And what these tactics do is they try to take advantage of, of these factors. And it's, like I said, these could work for you in the short term, but the problem is that, if somebody, if the search engine finds out you're doing it and then like bans you, like it did my friend, and like I said, she wasn't even actually doing anything bad. It just thought she was. So you can imagine if you were actually doing something bad, kind of how much that could affect you. But the other thing is that you could spend that energy instead making your website real good for regular people, because who uses search engines? People use search engines, right? So if you make your content good for people, you make your content good for search engines. So, you could instead spend that time, writing out useful information, making your website more accessible. So, you can make your website be loading faster. So you could take all this energy that you're putting into gaming the system and actually try to make your website better, which I think is what people should do. Now, obviously, if someone is doing SEO for you and you're not giving them access to your website, and you're not kind of understanding what they're doing, they might be doing some of these things, or just kind of generally useless things, the equivalent of rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic, right? And we don't want to just pay people to pretend they're doing something. We want to understand what they're actually doing. So if you do have an SEO company that you're working with, just ask them, hey, what kinds of things are you doing? And if they're weird about it, get out of there. Like, just get out of there. It's, you can find somebody who's reputable. And if someone asks me what I'm doing, I'm happy to share the general plan with them. They're like, oh, exactly what part of that is like stuff I've figured out over the years. And obviously I'm not going to, give away they're not going to buy the cow if they can get the milk for free. But at the same time, I should at least be straightforward with my approach and what I see doing for them. The other thing is that there's not like one way. Every client is really different, right? So I could look at your website and see some things to fix, or I could see that you don't have a lot of links coming into your website, and I could want to work on that with you instead, building in links from useful sources back to your website. So every approach that I would take with clients is different based on the website they have and kind of what they're already doing in terms of marketing. So if someone just approaches you with a proposal without having talked to you, it just means they're doing the same thing for everybody else, and that's not necessarily going to work for you. So yeah, anyway, so if someone says, also, if you get an email that says we're going to get you the #1 rank in Google, all they're doing is they're buying an ad with the keyword, and that puts you on top. So any platform, whether it's Bing, and by platform I mean search engine, Bing, Yahoo, Google, they all have ads that you can buy based on certain keywords, based on people doing searches in certain geographic areas, that kind of thing. And if someone says they're going to get you to the top of Google, that's what they're going to do. They're just going to buy you an ad. If you think it can happen that fast, it's kind of like, yeah, I can help you lose weight if you come into my plastic surgery office and I give you liposuction, but it's not necessarily something that's going to last, and it's something you're definitely going to pay for. So yeah. So search engine optimization, like anything else, and I'm sorry to be a bummer, is something that just takes time and effort, and it's something that you're going to kind of put in and you're going to see the benefits over time. But obviously too, when you slow it down, you're going to see the lack of benefits over time too. So that is so that's a little bit about search engines. Like I said, if there's certain topics that you want me to cover, like I said, the search engine one, I just see a lot. So I just want, to kind of share that. So feel free, like I said, to email me if you have a topic or something like that. I'm going to figure out the lighting situation in my office here. I feel like I look kind of washed out, and normally I don't look this washed out. And the other thing I want to direct you to, if you've gotten this far, is please check out my free resource. I have this website. It's free, 2020makessomemoney.com. It is basically an online program. It's a 20-day program, and there is 20-minute videos for 20 days where I basically build an online business from scratch. So it's, like I said, it's free. And you should check that out. Or if you know somebody who just kind of wants to learn a little bit about all of these topics, that's a really good place to start. And you can also just kind of get my vibe and decide whether I'm the kind of person you want to work with or not. It's okay if you just want to use the free thing. That's totally fine. I 100% get it. If I can get my bills paid, I would love to do lots more free stuff like that. So that is basically what I have to say about search engine optimization. So don't fall for it if someone sends you a proposal. Don't fall for it if someone is real vague, saying that your site isn't ranked well in Google. If you want to just play with them, email them back and say, oh, what are some of the problems you've seen on my website? I guarantee you won't hear back from them. And if you do, it's going to be real vague stuff. They should have very specific ideas for you if they were going to do SEO for you. So thanks for watching. I will see you next week. Like I said, send me topics if you got them. And thanks for joining me today. Have a great rest of your day.